Week 4 into the off-season phase. Welcome back, everybody. Last time we hit our Christmas special, and we're into the new year. So happy new year to everyone, if I haven't told you yet already. Today we are, like I mentioned, 4 weeks into this push phase. Did my check-in, which you can see my visuals here. Still very lean per the usual, right? Which I'm at 247.2 pounds today, which was cool because looking back to the same point last year, not 2024, but 2023, right at the end of the year in December, I was about 236. Honestly, condition looks better now. So about 11 pounds up, which I'm tracking really well, I think, to get from what I hit last offseason with about 254, get into that like 260 mark. Far better condition than when I've been 260 in the past. So we're here at the Muscle Factory Day. We're gonna jump into my leg day B session, which is my squat session. I showed you this session a few weeks ago, but there's been a few changes. So let's jump into it. Right, so starting this session off, I rotate and do a combo set of a dumbbell lateral and my leg extension. So as I'm warming up on leg extension, I warm up on my dumbbell lateral. Combo sets are really cool. So they've been shown that, at least with exercises that are more isolation based, to not take away from the individual exercises, but you can be a lot more efficient with your volume. So that's what I do on the front end of my leg session. This way I can get into my 4 sets of lateral raises. Total for the week, I get 12 sets across 3 days of training laterals. I like dumbbell lateral a day, just for a variation off my machine lateral that I usually do. The machine lateral, I set up to load lengthen, which dumbbells we know like loads pretty in the shortened phase. I know people say like, oh, it's not optimal, but you don't have to do like the perfect exercise every time. But for me, I love the freedom of motion that I get off a dumbbell, and I get some extra trap in there, which totally fine. I need traps, but it gives me just a variation, and it helps me get a mind-muscle connection with delts, since it does load short. So that's why I keep them in for one of the rotations for across the 3 days. So I do 8 to 12 reps on the dumbbell laterals. Then on my leg extension, I was doing 3 sets on that one, but I backed that down to just doing 2 sets. So I'm still getting some good leg extension, like stimulus, quad stimulus there, but not the 3 sets prior to squat, because I've been feeling really comfortable in my squat. Like I don't need as much pre-fatigue work, and then I can output higher my quad movement, which ideally should be the movement where I can get the most growth out of potentially, since I load the quad a bit more stretched. But hitting about 12 to 15 reps on my leg extensions. And this whole off season, my idea has been trying to structure my exercise choice, my order, to optimize performance across every single set that I do. Performance as far as execution goes, of getting more stimulus, how I execute. If that means more load or reps, or less reps, that's perfectly fine. But also performance as far as increasing load and reps. So over this entire off season, I should have perfect execution and more load and reps across every set. So if I'm finding ways to like do combo sets or pull off sets for a certain day and add them to another day, it's all with the purpose of being a performance-based bodybuilder, training like an athlete, trying to execute and get the most of every single movement. And not just chasing pumps in session, not just chasing obliterating a muscle in a session. It's about how can I string together improving performance. Moving on to my squat. So what I did on my leg extension was I just added 5 pounds on to load lengthen at the top peg, and did a rep match on my first set and added a rep to my last set. So I hit like 17, then 13 reps. So made some progression there. My transformer squat is what I got in that I haven't showed you, which is a super cool squat bar. Basically has 6 different ways that you can adjust the loading, from moving from a goblet squat all the way to like a hip hinge. Also, you can adjust the camber for more challenging bracing requirements. So it doesn't have a lot of, I think, application to bodybuilding. We don't really want to be challenging our bracing more in our squat patterns like a powerlifter would. So I keep it on like the camber setting 1, but I move all the way to a goblet squat to keep the pitch really far in front of me and squat really upright to get more quad bias out of it. This would also be a great squat for someone that's like long femored, a taller athlete, to keep them more upright in the squat. Like in that case, it might feel to them more like a balance between quad and glute when compared to like a shorter guy doing a normal back squat. So this is my more quad bias squat pattern, and every week I'm feeling more braced and stable with it. So I moved up 10 pounds on my first set and hit a rep match on that. did a second set, lower the load to what I did last week, but I added a rep on. So I'm just making progressions here. I was doing 3 sets, but I want to make sure I'm not staying in these internally braced patterns and limiting output for a quad. So I wanted to do 1 set with a little bit more bracing to make sure I get a lot of output out of my quad. What I changed on this session was last time I would do a Cybex leg press for like 3 sets at the end. I've moved that leg press to the middle of the week. So I now have 2 leg days, which, man, it's been so much more manageable fatigue-wise, and I get a lot more out of my leg press putting it in the middle of the week, which if I'm getting more out of every set across the week, that's a higher quality of volume. So yeah, total volume matters, but the quality is what matters as well. So why I pulled off some sets here is as I wanted to trial doing a split squat on the Rogers today, and we'll get there and see how it goes. All right, so at least diet setup wise right now, last week I made an adjustment, up to about 40 grams of carbs. So I'm sitting at 630 grams of carbs on my, my train day, 60 grams of fat, 330 grams of protein. I did consolidate this down to 5 meals because I was finding that I was getting a lot of overlap between some meals, and I really just do some larger meals and have good breaks between. It also makes me so much more efficient in my day for like working. So just have 2 meals, train, and then have 3 meals after. But some of these meals are like 140 grams of carbs, pretty low fats, tapering it down towards the end of the day. On my off day, carbs come down to 350 grams. The fats are up around 80. But this week, man, looking at progress, like my average body weight's come up. Visuals look really good. I'm just as lean as last week, so not making any diet changes. Steps are still at 10,000, still doing HIIT 3 times a week, so cardio's not changing either. Main thing is just focus on progressing and training in the gym. Seated leg curls next year. Do 4 sets today, and I have on my leg day A, midweek, I have 3 sets of a prone leg curl and 2 sets of RDL. So, you know, across the week doing 9 sets of hamstring work. Seated here, staying in like 10 to 15 reps. Like it's a good brace pattern after squatting, so it gives me a break, it gives my quads a break, drop off some localized fatigue, and get ready for my last set of quads. All right, last set of quads. Went to a front foot elevated split squat on the Rogers. So front foot elevation, for one, it will keep you a little bit more upright, and focus is like just driving the knee forward over the toe. So it should be heavy quad bias. I also load the top peg, so it's gonna be very linked and loaded. So I should be able to pull the most out of the quad, kind of transitioning from that squat that kind of loads quad mid-range into now loaded lengthen range. And also, like, quads are pretty fatigued already, but they can still output a bit in that stretch position. So you can just milk everything you can out of your quad sets. Kind of exercise order here is what matters. So it's something like I'm thoughtful of in programming. It still wasn't quite stable, which, and there's like that forward swing of the Rogers. It wasn't my favorite here. I might move to a Smith machine next week and try that. And then I might just get back to a single leg press if not. I do like the Rogers as a single leg. So it's something I wanted to experiment with today and see if it was worth doing. It was decent, but again, I think I might need a little bit more bracing at the end of this session. But quads are well smoked. And how I've dropped my volume in this session, like I'm not leaving with a total brain fog. Like I'm still can go work and be pretty articulate at the end of the day, which is nice as well. But that wraps up today's session. I've been started our WWJD weekly Q&As as well, which people seem to have been enjoying, just giving you actually some more of the education stuff along the way. Hope everyone has like a great next year. We have some big goals set for J3U and what we're doing when J3U Coaching. And even Renee starting her own business as well with her business name's Iconic. So it's going to be pretty cool stuff that we're releasing, coming out with. But look forward to sharing more with all of you here for the future. So till next time, we'll see you then.